A cat always lands on its feet. It's a phrase we've all heard, a piece of modern folklore that paints our feline friends as creatures with an almost magical ability to defy gravity. We've seen it happen, a clumsy slip or a misjudged leap, followed by a seemingly impossible twist in midair and a soft, four-footed landing. But this incredible feat isn't magic. It's a breathtaking display of physics and biology, an evolutionary masterpiece known as the cat righting reflex. So, how do they do it? The process begins the instant a cat starts to fall. The trigger isn't sight, but an extraordinary internal gyroscope located in its inner ear, the vestibular system. In a fraction of a second, it registers that down is not where it should be and sends an emergency signal to the brain. The brain then initiates a rapid, perfectly choreographed sequence of movements, all governed by a fundamental law of physics, the conservation of angular momentum. This principle states that for a body in freefall, its total rotation cannot change unless an external force is applied. A cat can't just decide to start spinning. Instead, it must cleverly manipulate its own body to achieve the desired result. Here's where the genius of its anatomy comes into play. First, the cat bends its incredibly flexible spine, effectively dividing its body into two separate, rotating sections, a front half and a back half. Then, it pulls its front legs in close to its body. Just like an ice skater spinning faster when they pull their arms in, this action reduces the moment of inertia for its front half. With its front half now easy to rotate, the cat twists its head and forebody until they are facing downward. To conserve angular momentum, this action causes the back half to rotate in the opposite direction. However, the cat cleverly extends its back legs, increasing the moment of inertia for its rear, which means it rotates much less than the front. Once the front is oriented, the cat reverses the maneuver. It extends its front legs and tucks in its back legs. Now, its back half has a smaller moment of inertia and can be quickly rotated into alignment with the front. The entire sequence is a masterclass in physical control, executed in less than a second. With its body now perfectly aligned for a safe landing, the cat prepares for impact. It arches its back, which acts like a parachute to create drag and slow its descent slightly, and holds its legs out. Its powerful muscles and exceptionally flexible joints act as natural shock absorbers, dissipating the force of the landing safely through its body. This is not a learned skill, but a deeply ingrained instinct. The righting reflex begins to appear in kittens as young as 3 to 4 weeks old and is typically perfected by the age of 6 or 7 weeks. It's a vital survival tool inherited from their arboreal ancestors, for whom a fall from a tree was a constant danger. However, this reflex has its limits. The famous high-rise syndrome in veterinary medicine notes that while cats can survive falls from incredible heights, they often do so with severe injuries. Landing on their feet doesn't make them invincible. So, the next time you witness a cat's aerial acrobatics, look beyond the myth. You are seeing a perfect, split-second symphony of anatomy and physics, a testament to millions of years of evolution that have crafted one of nature's most resilient and graceful athletes. Have you ever watched a cat and wondered if it was made of liquid? They pour themselves through impossibly tight spaces, contort into pretzels while grooming, and turn on a dime with astonishing speed. This seemingly magical flexibility isn't an illusion. It's the product of a unique and perfectly adapted anatomy, centered around one key feature, an extraordinarily flexible spine. While they may seem structurally similar to other mammals, the cat skeleton contains secrets that unlock a range of motion we can only dream of. The first secret lies in the numbers. A cat's spine, in contrast, boasts around 53 vertebrae. These extra bones, primarily located in the thoracic and lumbar regions, provide many more points of articulation, allowing for a much finer and more dramatic curve. But it's not just the number of bones, it's what's between them. The intervertebral discs in a cat are especially elastic. Think of them as supercushioned, flexible shock absorbers. They allow the vertebrae to move more freely and compress more tightly, enabling that signature arching of the back and the ability to curl into a tiny, perfect circle. This combination of more bones and more elastic cushions is the foundation of their incredible spinal mobility. The second, and perhaps most crucial, secret to their liquid nature is found in their shoulders. Humans have a clavicle, or collarbone, a long, rigid bone that acts as a strut, connecting our shoulder blades to our sternum. A cat has no such limitation. Its clavicle is a tiny, vestigial bone that floats freely in the muscles of its shoulder region, unconnected to any other part of the skeleton. This means a cat's shoulders are attached to its body only by muscle. The result? The shoulder blades can move independently and slide much closer together. This is the key behind the famous rule: if the head fits, the body fits. A cat's head is the widest, most rigid part of its body. We see this most dramatically in the righting reflex, where a falling cat can twist its front half to face down while its back half is still oriented upwards. It's an act of physical poetry, made possible because the spine can bend sharply at the waist, and the shoulders are free to move without a rigid clavicle getting in the way. This same ability allows them to perform incredibly sharp turns at high speed, keeping their hind legs planted for power while their front end is already pointing in a new direction. This isn't just for show, it's a critical evolutionary advantage. For a predator, this flexibility is the engine of the hunt. The spine acts like a powerful spring, compressing and then explosively extending to dramatically lengthen its stride, granting it bursts of speed to catch fast-moving prey. It allows them to crouch low to the ground for stealthy stalking. And as prey, the ability to squeeze into the tightest of crevices is the ultimate escape mechanism. So, the next time you see a cat move with that signature, fluid grace, you're not just seeing an animal. You're witnessing a masterclass in biomechanical engineering, a perfect fusion of bone and muscle designed for ultimate flexibility, power, and survival. A cat moves with a kind of otherworldly grace. It can walk along the thinnest of fences, leap with unerring precision, and navigate a cluttered room without disturbing a single object. We often attribute this to simple agility, but the true secret to this extraordinary poise lies deep within its ears, in a biological marvel that functions as a highly advanced, organic gyroscope. This is the vestibular system, the master controller of a cat's balance. To understand it, we must journey deep inside the cat's head, past the outer ear and eardrum, into the bony labyrinth of the inner ear. Here, next to the cochlea, the organ for hearing, lies the vestibular apparatus. It's a tiny, intricate collection of canals and sacs, but its power is immense. It has one fundamental job: to tell the brain the head's exact position and how it's moving in three-dimensional space, at every moment, in real time. The system has two key parts. First are the three semicircular canals. Arranged at right angles to each other, like the X, Y, and Z axes on a graph, these loops are filled with a fluid called endolymph. When the cat's head rotates, whether it's a tilt, a nod, or a shake, the fluid inside these canals sloshes around, bending microscopic hair-like sensors. Each canal is responsible for one plane of motion, so the brain receives precise data on the exact speed and direction of any rotation. This is how the cat instantly knows it's turning or tilting. The second part is what gives the cat its unerring sense of gravity. Within two small chambers called the utricle and saccule, there are beds of sensory cells covered in a jelly-like layer containing tiny, dense crystals of calcium carbonate, known as otoliths, or ear stones. Think of this as a biological level tool. When the cat's head is upright, the crystals press down evenly. But the moment the head tilts, gravity pulls on these heavy little stones, causing them to shift and bend the sensory hairs beneath them. This sends an immediate, unmistakable signal to the brain: this way is down. It's this mechanism that allows a cat to know which way is up, even in total darkness or complete freefall. Nowhere is the power of this system more evident than in the famous cat righting reflex. That "this way is down" signal is flashed to the brain, which then initiates the complex, split-second sequence of twisting its body to align its feet with the ground. It's a reflex arc, so fast and automatic it almost seems like magic. But its function isn't just for emergencies. This system is working constantly. It powers the vestibulo-ocular reflex, which is why a cat can run at full tilt while its head and gaze remain perfectly stable, locked onto its target. When this internal gyroscope is compromised, such as with an inner ear infection or vestibular syndrome, the results are dramatic and distressing: a persistent head tilt, a loss of balance, and a world that feels like it's constantly spinning. So, the next time you admire a cat's effortless grace, remember that it's all being orchestrated by a tiny, sophisticated navigator, a biological gyroscope that grants it mastery over its own physical world.